What is up, and welcome to SGPN's The Daily Dog. I'm your host, Britton Hess. I'm here with my favorite Underdog Fantasy Pick and Plays for Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. If you're new to Underdog Fantasy, send us the promo code DailyDog. That's DAILYDOG at UnderdogFantasy.com or on the Underdog Fantasy app. 50% deposit match bonus with that promo code DailyDog. 50% deposit match bonus with up to $1,000. That means if you put $2,000 on the app, you'll get an extra $1,000 to play with for free. If you play with put $100 on, you'll get $50 for free, etc., etc. Yeah, it is worth doing if you have not done so yet. It is a great promo code. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about yesterday, man. Cam Scatterbo for Arizona State. That dude is awesome. He got 1.5 touchdowns or higher than 1.5 touchdowns for us yesterday. So we're waiting on Gunnar Stockton to get an interception or to throw an interception in the Sugar Bowl versus Notre Dame here to get us across the line. And then we also had Sam Levitt higher than 10.5 rushing yards. He finished with 60 rushing yards in that game, so he crushed that number. Now we're waiting for Riley Leonard to have higher than 38.5 rushing yards at the time of this recording. Underdog's number for Leonard has steamed all the way up to 46.5 rushing yards, so people are definitely hitting that one. Hopefully we can bring both those babies home from yesterday after the delay due to that tragedy in New Orleans. Prayers, thoughts, everything else for the people affected by the tragedy. That's so stupid. I mean, man, I've been on Bourbon Street late at night plenty of times. Can't imagine being in that type of scenario. So a very unfortunate events there, but let's hope we get a good game today. And I've got some more picks in college football for today, and I've got some more picks for NFL as well. So let's go to NFL first. Some Saturday picks for a new Saturday entry. Yesterday we gave out a Saturday entry, which was Chase Brown lower than 68.5 rushing yards. It's now 69.5, despite, again, my concerns about his injury. We also gave out Chris Boswell higher than 1.5 field goals made. Now that's down to a 0.92x multiplier instead of a 1x. So that 3x entry I gave out yesterday is now 2.76x. I liked the one yesterday, even with Chase Brown at a lower, one lower yard. So still worth playing that one, I think, at 2.76. But if Boswell gets juiced down much more, I would not look at it. Let's go to Saturday NFL number 2, the new slip that we're putting out today, the new entry we're putting out today for Underdog Fantasy NFL on Saturday. We're going Jeudy higher than 49.5 receiving yards. A little bit scary here because we don't really know what the quarterback situation is. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, aka DTR, is the starter allegedly, but he's banged up. He might not play. They might play him and Bailey Zappi. Bailey Zappi could start. If Bailey Zappi starts, that's very good for Jeudy. Bailey Zappi is a gunslinger. He is not exactly a clean passer or he doesn't necessarily protect the ball, but he takes his shots. If he takes his shots, that was very, very good for Jeudy. We're going to pair that with George Pickens higher than 64.5 receiving yards. The Steelers, I don't think, are going to roll over in this game versus the Bengals. They'd love to eliminate them from the playoffs. Their secondary is terrible. George Pickens is due for a big game after that hamstring injury and then kind of being a little underperforming, I guess, in his return. So George Pickens very due for a higher than 64.5 receiving yards game. And against the secondary, I think he can definitely do it. So that's a 3x multiplier with George Pickens higher than 64.5 receiving yards and Jeudy higher than 49.5 receiving yards. All right, let's get to some new college football picks and entries for today that include the Sugar Bowl and also that game between Ole Miss and Duke. We're going to go with Trevor Etienne, running back for Georgia, lower than 85.5 rush yards. Etienne has not had too many big games this year. He's a really talented runner, a very good running back, a huge transfer portal get for Georgia last year, stealing up from Florida. But he doesn't even have a 100-yard game on this year. This rush defense for Notre Dame is very, very good. I know they got some injuries in the front seven, but still, the next man up mentality. I don't think that they're going to get gashed by big yards by Trevor Etienne here, especially considering Gunnar Stockton is the quarterback for Georgia. Like, they can key on Etienne pretty freely in here. I think it'd be perfectly within reason for him to have lower than 85.5 rushing yards. Then I'm going to pair that with Jaxson Dart higher than 0.5 interceptions against Duke. I know Jaxson Dart is a NFL prospect or whatever. He's a highly thought of prospect in college and in the pros. He doesn't always protect the ball. I think Ole Miss is going to be potentially a little bit too loose in this game against Duke, and I think Duke's defense is still really good. I think they only allowed more than 20 points like 4 times this season. So they get turnovers. They can stay in games with their defense. I like Jaxson Dart higher than 0.5 interceptions here. These two paired together is a 3.3x multiplier. All right, college football number 2. We're going to go Jordan Watkins higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Jordan Watkins, higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. Jordan Watkins is presumptively the number 1 wide receiver for Ole Miss in this game. I said I think Duke can potentially slow them down. I don't think they're going to slow them down entirely, though. Like, they're not going to blank them. I think the passing game is still going to get some touchdowns here, and I think Jordan Watkins is going to be target number one. I think he's having a great shot to get stuff done here. So give me Jordan Watkins higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns in this game versus Duke. I'm going to pair that with Jayden Thomas, senior wide receiver for Notre Dame, higher than 10.5 receiving yards. 4 straight games he's had higher than 10.5 receiving yards. I mean, this is literally one catch. He's a senior in a massive, massive spot. I know the receiving group for Notre Dame overall is unimpressive, but games like these, times like these, you want to lean on a senior. I really think that Jayden Thomas can crush this number. I mean, it's 10.5 receiving yards. Like, seriously, one catch, he should get over this, unless it's like a screen or something. But again, I'm not really expecting that to happen here. Just a quick little run recap of his last several games. Against Indiana, he had 2 for 13. Against USC, he had 2 for 22. Against Army, he had 1 for 15. Against UVA, he had 2 for 14. So basically he finished the season. He's not going to be a high volume guy. He's not going to have 90 yards, but getting into the teens, getting into the 20s is very, very possible for this senior for Notre Dame. And again, they need production out of wide receivers. Hopefully the guy who's been around the longest can make a couple plays for them here, and they can and he can get over that 10.5 receiving yards. All right, so that one is paired with Jordan Watkins higher than 0.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. That's a 3x multiplier, straight up flat 3x for that one coming together. All right, let's get into the National Basketball Association. We're going to go with Jayson Tatum higher than 3.5 3-pointers made. Shooting volume for Jayson Tatum is still there. He doesn't always hit 4, but he shoots enough to hit 4. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take over 3.5 or higher than 3.5 for a guy who's averaging 3.5 3-point attempts per game. Celtics at the T-Wolves here should be a competitive game. Two obviously last year's champion Celtics and the T-Wolves who did plenty of deep work into the postseason last year. So I think this is going to be an up game on TNT for the Celtics, and I think Jayson Tatum knows this moment, and I really think that he's got a great shot to crush this number. Just quickly going over some of his previous several games from 3. So against Toronto, he was 4 for 9. Against the Pacers, he was 2 for 10. And the previous game versus the Pacers, he was 3 for 10. Sixers, 4 for 6. Bulls, 9 for 15. Bulls, 4 for 11. So he is shooting massive volume, double-digit 3-pointer volume pretty much every game in recent memory. He doesn't always have a hot shooting day, but still, man, I just think that we're getting really good value on Jayson Tatum in this matchup against the T-Wolves. Then we're going to pair that with Steph Curry higher than 23.5 points, the second TNT game. I think that Steph Curry is going to be able to take care of business against this against this Sixers team, which I just don't think is overall very good. He's obviously he is this whole team basically for the Warriors at this point. And Joel Embiid is out for the 76ers. So Steph Curry is not going to, Steph Curry is going to be the main star in this entire game. He's playing, he's game time decision, but I'm 90% sure he's playing. So Steph Curry, 23.5 points, higher than that. That sounds like a good place to be on a big time TV game between the East Coast 76ers traveling to face the Golden State Warriors. That is a 3x multiplier. All right, NBA number 2, Miles Turner, higher than 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists against the Heat. Indiana Pacers against the Heat. Miles Turner had 34 points in his last game against the Heat. So I think that he's comfortable in this matchup. 22.5 is just too low for him. They keep on listing him at this number, and it just seems like it's too low all too often. So I'm riding it again here. Pairing that with LeBron James, higher than 0.5 double-doubles. Lowly Trailblazers coming to town, coming to LA. I definitely think LeBron is going to be able to put on a show in this matchup. He's got to relish these opportunities to pat the stats a little bit. So give me Miles Turner higher than 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists, and LeBron James higher than 0.5 double-doubles, 3x multiplier. All right, let's get to the NHL. We're going David Pastrnak higher than 0.5 assists. Rangers stink. They allow too many goals, and Pastrnak is the point man for the Bruins. We're going to pair that with Kyle Connor higher than 0.5 assists. Kyle Connor, also the assist man for the Canucks. He's not necessarily, it's not the Canucks. Kyle Connor, 29 assists on the season. So, he's definitely doing his part to help guys get goals. In this game, they're hosting the Ducks. The Ducks have played well lately, but this is a road game for them. I don't necessarily think that their strong streak is going to continue. The Jets are 14-3-1 at home. I think Kyle Connor, again, is going to get an assist here. That, with Pastrnak to get an assist, is a 3.39x multiplier. NHL number 2, Nathan McKinnon higher than 1.5 points. Buffalo Sabres are coming to town. Enough said. Nathan McKinnon is a point monster. The Sabres are terrible. They allow a ton of goals. Give me McKinnon higher than 1.5 points. Pairing that with Nikita Kucherov higher than 1.5 assists as the San Jose Sharks host his Tampa Bay Tampa Bay Lightning. Nikita Kucherov is one of the leading point men in the NHL, so give me higher than 1.5 assists here in a game where I expect the Lightning to put up 4, 5, 6 goals. So those two together, McKinnon higher than 1.5 points, Kucherov higher than 1.5 assists, 3.57x multiplier. Now the lotto of the day. This one's kind of crazy. I'm going Jeremiah Love higher than 1.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns. I call that the Scatabo. Pairing that with Alex Ovechkin higher than 0.5 goals. Damian Lillard higher than 4.5 3-pointers made after a bad shooting day last time out. It's time for him to rebound. And Dalton Knecht higher than 1.5 3-pointers made as the Lakers host the Trailblazers. If all 4 of those hit, 72.69x multiplier, or you can flex it and get 43.61x if it goes 4 for 4. If it goes 3 for 4, 9.82x. Lots of options today. Lots of slips in play from yesterday and today. That's all I got for you today. Let's make some money.